Reborn Sword Immortal, the way of heaven does not tolerate evil. 1. The morning light was slightly dewy, the sea of clouds was rolling, and the fairy world was silent. And in a deep valley, a long sword with a cold light flashing broke through the sky and stabbed a figure. This figure slowly opened his eyes, his black hair was like ink, and his eyes were shining. It was the protagonist of the rebirth, Ling Xiao. He recalled the experience of his previous life, and infinite regret and anger welled up in his heart. Slaying demons and eliminating demons for thousands of years, but died at the hands of the Demon King on the night of Ascension. Now that he is reborn, he must be more cautious and stronger. Underscore 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 un. 2. Ling Xiao stood up, surrounded by familiar and unfamiliar valleys. This is the place where he once practiced, but the time seems to go back 100 years. He muttered in a low voice, "Do it all over again, this time I want to. No regrets." Suddenly, a deep, demonic roar echoed, shaking the rocks in the valley. Ling Xiao frowned slightly, gripping his sword tightly, his gaze as sharp as a cold star. The enemy is still there. Underscore 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 un. 3. After being reborn, Ling Xiao understood that although his cultivation was retained, his soul had experienced the baptism of life and death, and his understanding was deeper than in his previous life. He closed his eyes and sat by the stream, sucking the spiritual energy of heaven and earth into the Denshin, and the true qi in his body ran more smoothly than in his previous life. In this life, first find out the details of the Demon King, and then calculate my killer move. He said secretly in his heart. The water reflected his face, cold and resolute, and his eyes revealed an unshakable determination. Underscore 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 un. 4. Suddenly, a group of immortal disciples flew in from outside the valley, holding flying swords, and their voices were stern. "Don't approach, demons, retreat quickly." Ling Xiao chuckled, his long sword was like a rainbow, his body was like lightning, and he was in front of them in an instant. "I'm not a demon, but a demon slayer." Ling Xiao's voice thundered. The immortal sect disciples froze for a moment, but still didn't dare approach rashly, their eyes filled with confusion and wariness. Underscore 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 un. 5. As night fell, Ling Xiao lit a bonfire deep in the valley. He took out a jade slit that recorded the information of the Demon King's former subordinates. "This time, I want to liquidate them one by one." Under the reflection of the bonfire, his face was as cold as a sculpture, and his aura fluctuated all over his body, as if heaven and earth were echoing in a low voice. Suddenly, a demonic howl sounded, and a huge demon shadow loomed between the mountain peaks in the distance. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed, the long sword was unsheathed, and the tip of the sword pointed into the distance. The battle has just begun. Underscore 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 un. 6. The next day, Ling Xiao left the valley and stepped into the mortal world. He met an old man with white hair, but in high spirits, holding a long staff. "Xiao, do you know that the Demon King is ready to move?" The old man's eyes were deep. Ling Xiao nodded slightly. "I know. In this life, if the Demon King dares to hurt the innocent again, I will cut him down under the sword." The old man slightly agreed and handed a roll of runes to Ling Xiao. "This talisman can help you seal the half-demon and half-immortal body." Ling Xiao took it and silently thought in his heart. "This time, there is no way out." Underscore 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 un. 7. In Mortal City, Ling Xiao witnessed a wicked official oppressing the people. He acted with lightning speed, subduing the official, much to the people's admiration. "Who is this man?" someone exclaimed. Ling Xiao simply glanced at them coldly, thinking to himself, demon slaying isn't just about slaying demons, it's also about ridding the world of evil. He understood that the name of the right path is not only to kill demons, but also to maintain the fairness of the world. Underscore 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 un. 8. At night, Ling Xiao was cultivating in the mountains and forests outside the city, and as the spiritual energy flowed, he felt a powerful aura approaching. The Demon King's subordinates. His brows furrowed slightly, and the long sword in his hand turned into a cold light and faced the black shadow. The black shadow appeared. It was a demon general, with scarlet eyes and a corrosive aura on his body. Are you reborn? It's really a good show. The demon general sneered. Ling Xiao was silent. The long sword swept out, the fire and thunder were intertwined, and the mountains and forests instantly fell into chaos. Underscore 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 un. 9. After the battle, Ling Xiao sat on the top of the mountain, looking at the destroyed trees and smoke. His mind was full of thoughts. In my previous life, I slain all the evil spirits, but died in the most unexpected places. He whispered to himself. In this life, he must be more cautious and know how to use the power and wisdom of heaven and earth, rather than simply killing. He looked into the distance, the clouds rolling, as if there were more dangers hidden. Ling Xiao clenched his long sword, his eyes as resolute as starlight. In this life, I will regain my hands on life and death. Underscore 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 un. 10. Ling Xiao's actions in the mortal world gradually attracted the attention of all parties. The immortal disciples secretly observed his whereabouts, and the ears and eyes of the demon clan also secretly monitored him. He, reborn. The demon general muttered in a low voice. Ling Xiao stood quietly on the top of the mountain. The night wind blew his long hair, and the starlight was reflected on the cold sword, exuding an inviolable power. At this moment, he understood, the road to rebirth has truly begun. 11. At dawn, Ling Xiao stepped into the ancient forest on the border of the Immortal Gate, where the trees were lush and the fog was shrouded, but there was a strong demonic aura hidden. In the shadows of the trees, several demons stood quietly, their eyes flashing, obviously targeting Ling Xiao. Are you here again? He whispered to himself, his long sword unsheathed, and the cold light was like water, reflected in the morning mist. He took a deep breath, his steps steady and determined, his eyes staring ahead, each step bringing a whirlwind of spiritual energy, like an echo from heaven and earth. Underscore 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 un. 12. The demon clan took the lead, and countless claws and demonic flames flew out from the trees. Ling Xiao's figure was like lightning, and his long sword swung out a series of air-breaking sword shadows, and every shot was extremely accurate. The leaves and demonic flames were intertwined, the fire and sword light reflected each other, and the entire ancient forest seemed to tremble. The demon general roared, attacking Ling Xiao only to be countered by him. He twisted his body, the tip of his sword pointed directly at his throat. Ling Xiao coldly declared, if you dare to harm innocent people again, I will kill you right here. The demon general, shaken, retreated into the shadows of the trees and disappeared without a trace. Underscore 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 un. 13. After the battle, Ling Xiao sat by the stream and observed the true qi running in his body. In this life, you can't rely on force alone, wisdom must also be strengthened at the same time. He thought to himself. The memories and previous life experiences after rebirth have brought his cultivation and mind to a higher level, and his swordsmanship is better than before. He closed his eyes and concentrated, the spiritual energy of heaven and earth poured into his body like a tide, and the entire ancient forest was shrouded in his spiritual energy, and the surrounding demonic energy could not get close. Underscore 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 un. 14. The immortal disciples quietly observed Ling Xiao's every move, and were extremely puzzled in their hearts. He is not immortal, nor an ordinary monk, why would he confront the demon race without damage? A disciple muttered in a low voice. Another disciple nodded, his swordsmanship is extremely unusual, and his aura is ancient, it seems that he hides some kind of rebirth power. Ling Xiao looked at them from a distance, his eyes were deep, and he smiled slightly, since you want to observe, let you see the real strength. Underscore 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 un. 15. At night, Ling Xiao returned to the valley and found a mysterious old man waiting by the fire. Little friend, your rebirth has been noticed by the way of heaven. The old man's voice was low but coercive. Ling Xiao frowned slightly, the way of heaven? Could it be that the last time I died was also related to this? The old man nodded. You slayed demons in your previous life and offended many forces. Ling Xiao held the sword and pondered, in this case, rebirth is not only to win life and death, but also to control the situation of heaven. _ 16. The next day, he came to the mortal city and found that the government in the city was secretly oppressing the people and collecting harsh taxes. Ling Xiao stepped into the yamen, the sword energy was faintly turbulent, and the officials were shocked when they saw this. Presumptuous! The official shouted, but was instantly repelled by Ling Xiao's sword, unscathed. When the people saw this, they were excited and knelt down to thank them. Ling Xiao glanced at him coldly and said in a low voice, in this city, evil cannot be kept. He understood that the right path is not only slaying demons, but also maintaining fairness in the world. _ 17. At night, Ling Xiao was cultivating in the mountains and forests when he suddenly felt a strong aura approaching. The Demon King's subordinates. His heart sank, and he instantly turned into a streamer to greet the comer. What appeared was a half-demon, half-immortal powerhouse, with a huge body and eyes like blood. Reborn people, do you dare to step into the mortal world? The half-demon shouted lowly. Ling Xiao raised his eyebrows, swung his long sword, and the sword light rolled backwards like a galaxy, forcing the opponent backwards. _ 18. After the battle, Ling Xiao pondered by the stream. In my previous life, I slayed demons and eliminated demons, but I died in an unexpected place. In this life, you must protect yourself with your heart, wisdom, and strength. He recalled his grudge with the Demon King, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. This time, I will kill his subordinates first. The night wind blew and the leaves rustled, as if heaven and earth were listening to his vows. _ 19. Ling Xiao returned to the valley and accidentally discovered that someone in the higher level of the Immortal sect was secretly plotting to use the demon clan to provoke a bigger war. He quietly set traps and used ancient talismans to collect conspiracy information without leaving a trace. He smiled secretly in his heart, not only the demon race, but also the human world and the Immortal Gate need to be dealt with carefully. He stood his sword on the ground, the cold light reflected the night sky, and the entire valley was protected by a heavenly sword. _ 20. At dawn, Ling Xiao stood on the top of the mountain, overlooking the mortal city and the realm of the Immortal Gate. The clouds and mist rolled, and the demonic and fairy aura in the distance intertwined, like a catastrophe that had not yet begun. He held the sword and said in a deep voice, in this life, I will start over and make no more mistakes. Slaying demons and exterminating demons is not only a mission, but also my determination. The morning light shone on his cold sword, as if heaven and earth were dancing for him, and the rebirth of the sword Immortal, the true legend, was about to unfold. 21. The dawn broke, and the glow was like blood, reflecting on the wasteland outside the city. Ling Xiao walked on the morning dew, and the fallen leaves under his feet were trampled with a crisp sound, bringing a chill with every step. There was a low roar in the distance, and a group of half-demons and half-immortals quietly appeared, their eyes flashing with greed and murderous intent. Ling Xiao stopped, the long sword was unsheathed, the sword light was like water, reflecting the morning light, illuminating every hideous face of the other party. If you dare to hurt others, you will surely die. His voice was like thunder, but with a quiet determination. The demons were silent for a moment, and finally roared in unison, and the offensive swept in like a raging storm. Ling Xiao was running his true qi, his body was like electricity, he dodged with sharp steps, and every blow was extremely accurate, forcing the enemy back. In the air, the sword qi rumbled through the air, and the smoke and morning mist intertwined, forming bizarre phantoms, as if heaven and earth were holding their breath for this battle. _ 22. After the battle, Ling Xiao sat cross-legged on the wasteland, absorbing the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. He felt that every breath and every ray of true qi he took was purer and more powerful than in his previous life. Rebirth not only gave me a second chance, but also gave me wisdom and calmness. He whispered to himself, his eyes deep. He tapped his fingers on the long sword, recalling all the moments of failure in his previous life. Those past enemies, conspiracies, and betrayals are indispensable teaching materials in his life. In this life, he would no longer be deceived, used, or despised, and no matter whether his opponent was a demon clan or an immortal sect high-ranking official, he had to deal with it carefully. _____________________________________________________________________________________ Lin Xiao returned to the mortal city and found that the people in the city were still oppressed by the government. He hid in the night, secretly observing the actions of the officials, and found that there were disciples inside the immortal sect colluding behind them to plot evil. The demon race not only needs to be killed, but we also have to rectify the world. Ling Xiao muttered in a low voice. Late at night, he appeared above the yamen, like a night god descending, with a long sword cutting through the air and a cold light flashing. The officials and the rebel disciples were immediately frightened, and the people saw his figure in the shadows, their hearts full of awe. Ling Xiao said coldly, "Those who oppress the good will be beheaded by the sword today." ___________________________________________________________________________________________________________ Suddenly heard a strange noise in the woods in the distance. The trees were turning, the demonic aura surged, and the red light shone through the black shadows, like a blood-colored sky. Ling Xiao stood with his sword in his hand, his true qi fluctuated like a tide. He noticed that this aura was different from before, as if there was a conspiracy lurking in it. He took a deep breath, walked into the forest, placed protective charms at will, and used the terrain and magic circle to build a maze to lead the enemy into a trap. Half demon and half immortal were in trouble in the maze, but Ling Xiao still remained calm. His movements were elegant but deadly sharp. _________________________________________________________________________________________________________ 25. That night, he looked at the mortal city from the top of the mountain, and the moonlight was like water, reflecting on the palaces and fireworks in the distance. He knew in his heart that this rebirth was not only a struggle with the demon race, but also a struggle against corruption within the immortal sect and the injustice of the mortal world. In my previous life, I slayed demons alone, and in this life, I want everyone who oppresses the good to understand that the sword of the righteous path cannot be humiliated. Ling Xiao clenched his long sword, and as the true air flowed, the entire mountain top seemed to be protected by the power of heaven and earth, and the cold light reflected the sea of clouds. __________________________________________________________________________________________________________ dressed in ragged clothes, holding a talisman. His aura was incredibly powerful. Curiosity and caution crossed his eyes. "You are reborn, do you know that the laws of nature do not tolerate evil?" Ling Xiao raised his eyebrows and smiled. "I know my mission, and I know how to proceed." Their eyes met, a fusion of cold and spiritual energy, as if the world itself were holding its breath. The young man suddenly made a move, and the talisman turned into light and hit Ling Xiao directly, but he resolved it with his sword energy. "Needless to say, you and I both have a mission," Ling Xiao said in a low voice, his eyes flashing. _________________________________________________________________________________________________________ Contained ancient runes and ancient books, revealing the secrets of the demon race, the immortal gate, and even the operation of the heavenly way. He flipped through the pages, and each paragraph of text carried an unfathomable coercion, as if it could penetrate people's souls. In this life, in addition to force, wisdom must also be used to the extreme. Ling Xiao whispered to himself, imprinting the runes in the spiritual veins in his body to enhance his self-perception and countermeasures. Outside the cave house, black shadows flashed, as if the demon clan had already lurked around. Ling Xiao stood with his sword in his hand, his figure like a cold star in the night sky, flashing with a decisive light. _______________________________________________________________________________________________________________intent on killing Ling Xiao and preventing him from exposing the corruption within. Ling Xiao, with his foresight, sets up a maze of illusions, trapping the assassins within. Suspicion and suspicion swirl within, ultimately leading to their own loss of composure. Standing atop the maze, Ling Xiao declares in a cold voice, the corruption of both the mortal and immortal realms is now crystal clear. The ancient forest behind him was dyed red by the morning light, and the aura and sword energy were intertwined, forming a bizarre scene. 100 miles away, both the demon clan and the immortal gate secretly held their breath, perceiving the true power of this reborn sword immortal. _________________________________________________________________________________________________________ Ling Xiao returned to the valley. The night sky was starry like a sea, and he was calculating his next move. If the demon lord wants to hurt mortals again, he must first pass through his barrier. In my previous life, I was calculated, and in this life I will count against every enemy. He mobilized the power of heaven and earth and laid down a secret barrier, and the entire valley was shrouded in sword energy and spiritual energy, shimmering with mysterious light. In the distance, there are demonic shadows like smoke, like blood clouds turning in the sky, hinting that a new crisis is coming. _________________________________________________________________________________________________________ Ling Xiao stood on the top of the mountain, holding his sword and staring into the distance. He knew in his heart that the rebirth in this life was not only for himself, but also for all innocent people, righteous allies and those who were oppressed by demons. In this life, I will use my sword to create the true right path and cut down evil. The morning light filtered through the clouds, reflecting his cold sword and figure, as if heaven and earth were dancing for him. Ling Xiao took a deep breath, his eyes were resolute, and the cold light reflected the stars. Reborn sword immortal, the true legend, has just begun. 31. The fog of dawn covered the entire valley. Ling Xiao stepped on the moist grass, and the tip of his sword broke through the mist, like a silver streamer. In the distance, a demon shadow army slowly approached, the demonic aura rolling like a sea of blood-colored clouds. Ling Xiao frowned slightly, clenched his long sword, and thought in his heart, this time, they are here to test my limits. He was running his spiritual energy, and the wind and clouds between heaven and earth seemed to be obeying his call. Stepping into the valley, the demons surged in like a tide, blood and mist intertwined, forming a bizarre scene. Ling Xiao drew his sword and stood. His sword energy was like a long rainbow in the sky, hitting the front of the demon group, causing the rocks in the valley to crack slightly. ________________________________________________________________________________________________________________ The battle began. Ling Xiao's cut through the demon shadow, and every blow was precise and deadly. The half-demon, half-immortal enemy fought back desperately, and the spells and demonic energy burst out, shaking the entire valley like an earth-shattering world. Ling Xiao sneered, and while swinging his long sword, he divided the demon clan into several squads, using strategy and force in parallel, allowing the enemy to confuse themselves. Every time he dodged or counterattacked, he could feel the echo of the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, and the experience of his previous life and his understanding in this life were perfectly integrated. In this life, I will use my wisdom and strength to cut down everything that stands in my way. Ling Xiao secretly swore in his heart. __________________________________________________________________________________________________________overlooking the chaos. The trees were shattered by the sword energy, and the demonic energy dissipated, but it left a thick blood mist. He took a deep breath, the tip of his sword pointed into the distance, his gaze as firm as a star. Demon Lord, no matter how many subordinates you have, you can't stop my will to be reborn. In the night, the moonlight reflected the tip of the sword, as if heaven and earth were cheering for him, and the wind in the valley whispered, like a response from heaven. _________________________________________________________________________________________________________ 34. The next day, Ling Xiao returned to the mortal city and found that the people in the city were still oppressed, and the government and the elements inside the immortal gate were secretly colluding. He acted secretly, using his past life experience to set traps, making the conspirators suspicious of each other, and eventually confusing himself. The people watched in the shadows, and when they saw Ling Xiao descending like a god, their hearts were full of awe. Ling Xiao said in a cold voice, those who oppress the good will be killed by the sword today. He not only wants to kill demons, but also to eliminate all injustice in the world. The sword of justice is both sharp and fair. _____________________________________________________________________________________________________________ At night, Ling Xiao returned to the ancient forest to practice, but felt a strange aura in the distance. The dark shadow flickered through the woods, like a cloud of blood churning, with a suffocating coercion. He stepped into the forest and set up Fu formations and spirit formations to lead the enemy into a trap, stealthy and deadly. The half-demon, half-immortal, was trapped, mired in a maze. Ling Xiao stood in the forest like a night god, his figure reflected in the mist. Sword energy and spiritual energy intertwined in a bizarre and awe-inspiring scene. Underscore 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 un. 36. Ling Xiao found an ancient talisman book in the cave house, recording the secrets between the demon race and the immortal sect. He flipped through the pages, and every paragraph of text was full of coercion, as if he could gain insight into people's souls. In this life, I not only want to slay demons, but also control the entire situation. He whispered to himself, integrating the rune mark into the spiritual vein. Outside the cave house, the black shadow was turning, and the demon clan had already lurked. Ling Xiao stood with his sword in his hand, the cold light reflected the night, and he smiled secretly in his heart. This time, Tiandao did not dare to despise me. Underscore 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 un. 37. The higher UPS of the immortal sect noticed Ling Xiao's actions and dispatched assassins. Ling Xiao, anticipating this, had set up a maze of illusions, trapping the assassins within, fueling mutual suspicion and chaos. Standing atop the maze, his cold light illuminating the night sky, he declared in a cold voice, corruption abounds among mortals and immortals alike, but the sword of righteousness must not be violated. Light and shadow intertwined, and the sword energy was like a tide, and even the stars in the sky seemed to tremble for it. Underscore 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 un. 38. At dawn, Ling Xiao stepped into the depths of the valley and found signs of the demon race and the immortal sect secretly joining forces. He frowned slightly, understanding that this challenge was no small matter and he had to go all out. He operated the spiritual energy, and the spiritual power between heaven and earth moved in response, and the entire valley was shrouded in sword energy and spiritual energy, as if forming a small world. He muttered in a low voice. The failures of the previous life cannot be repeated in this life. He stepped into the battlefield, his eyes as sharp as cold stars, and every step carried deadly coercion. Underscore 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 un. 39. Ling Xiao and the demon general confronted each other on the top of the mountain, thunderclouds rolled in the sky, and lightning cut through the sky. The general's power was infinite, and his hands condensed demonic fire and blasted towards Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao flashed out, the sword light was like water, and the demon fire was shaken back, forming an interweaving of light and fire, and the valley shook like thunder. The two sides alternately attacked and defended. Ling Xiao operated the power of heaven and earth, every move was made with strategy and calculation, and finally forced the demon general to retreat, but did not take his life. You are truly extraordinary as a reborn person. The demon general whispered in his mouth, secretly in awe in his heart. Underscore 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 un. 40. After the battle, Ling Xiao stood on the top of the mountain, overlooking the entire mortal city and the surrounding mountains and forests. The morning light penetrated the clouds and reflected the tip of the sword, as if heaven and earth were crowning him. He knew in his heart that the rebirth in this life was not only for himself, but also for justice, for the people, and for the fairness of the whole world. The Demon King, the immortal sect, the mortal world. Whoever dares to do evil, I will kill with my sword. He took a deep breath, pointed the tip of the sword directly at the sky, his eyes as firm as the stars. The reborn sword immortal, the real legend has just begun. 41. The valley before dawn was shrouded in thick fog, and the cold was biting. Ling Xiao stood on the top of the mountain, with the cold sword in his hand, his spiritual energy flowed like a sea tide, reflected in the surrounding mist, and the sword light was like a galaxy rolling upside down. In the distance, the demon lord's men and the army of immortal traders had assembled, like a blood cloud rolling, which made people palpitate. Ling Xiao swept his eyes coldly, and smiled secretly in his heart. I died here in my previous life, and in this life, I will make you pay with your blood. He operated the spiritual power of heaven and earth, laying down layers of barriers, and every time the enemy approached, he felt the deadly coercion. underscore 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 un. 42. The battle broke out instantly, and the demonic energy and immortal magic were intertwined, as if the end was coming. Ling Xiao's swordsmanship was like a dragon, like the wind, every swing of the sword forced the enemy back, and the half-demon and half-immortal was like paper paste in front of him. In the air, flames, thunderbolts, and ice mist intertwined, light and shadow rotated, and the entire valley was like an otherworldly battlefield. Ling Xiao shouted coldly, "Demon Lord, this time, there is no more luck." The Demon Lord in the distance frowned slightly, and an imperceptible tension flashed in his eyes. The reborn Ling Xiao was far more dangerous than he imagined. Underscore 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 un. 43. In the depths of the valley, screams and explosions came from the immortal sect traitor formation, and the talismans and sword energy were intertwined into a network of light. Ling Xiao operated the power of heaven and earth, using spiritual energy to urge swordsmanship, and every step flashed with the power of heaven and earth. He captured the flaws of the demon general, swept across with a sword, and the sword energy poured out like a galaxy, forcing him into a desperate situation. "You! The one who is born again!" The demon general roared angrily, but was powerless to fight back. Ling Xiao sneered, slashed down with his long sword, but stopped without taking his life, and made his opponent kneel down and beg for mercy. "In this life, kill justly and punish evil without indiscriminateness," he said secretly in his heart. Underscore 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 un. 44. As night fell, the smoke billowed on the battlefield, the moonlight shone on Ling Xiao through the clouds, and the cold light reflected the long sword. He was overlooking the battlefield from the top of the mountain, and the demon king in the distance appeared, with red light in his eyes churning and his breath majestic, like the anger of heaven and earth. Ling Xiao took a deep breath, pointed his sword at the sky, and said coldly, "Demon Lord, in this life, I will make you understand that the will of my sword cannot be challenged." In an instant, the spiritual energy between heaven and earth surged, the wind and thunder were mixed, and the lights were bizarre, like gods and demons descending. Underscore 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 un. 45. The demon lord led the demon clan to the top of the mountain, and the spiritual energy and sword energy collided, causing the mountain to collapse. Ling Xiao was like a sword god, his body flashed like a silver dragon, and his long sword swung out 10,000 rays of light and shadow, and every shot was accurate to defeat the enemy. The demon lord's aura was turbulent and his strength was infinite, but Ling Xiao combined the spiritual energy of heaven and earth with the Fu array, performing unprecedented stunts and forcing him to retreat step by step. Blood and silver light intertwined, and thunder roared in the sky, like the end of the world. 100 miles away, the high-level officials of the Immortal sect and the people of the Mortal City saw this shocking battle, and their hearts trembled. Underscore 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 un. 46. The battle reached its climax. The demon lord and Ling Xiao confronted each other on the top of the mountain. Thunder clouds rolled, and the wind and clouds changed color. The demon lord waved his hand, and a huge black demon shadow appeared between heaven and earth, like a giant beast covering the valley. Ling Xiao frowned slightly, using his understanding of the past and present lives, fusing swordsmanship with the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, turning into countless light and shadow, dividing the black shadows, and forcing the demon king into a difficult situation. The two breaths intertwined, forming a bizarre earthquake in the sky, the mountains collapsed, the rivers flowed backwards, and the mortal people looked like they were seeing a miracle from a distance. Underscore 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 un. 47. The Demon King finally understood that this reborn person was far more difficult than in his previous life. He was furious and used extreme sorcery, and black mist surged between heaven and earth, like an endless abyss devouring everything. Ling Xiao was not afraid at all, inserting the long sword into the ground. The spiritual power of heaven and earth poured in like a tide, the Fu array was activated, the entire mountain top was shrouded in silver sword energy, the light was dazzling and dazzling. The demon lord's attack was completely resolved, but Ling Xiao cleverly used his power to counterattack, and the entire battlefield presented a bizarre scene, as if the heavens and the earth were turned upside down. underscore 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 un. 48. Finally, the decisive battle between Ling Xiao and the Demon Lord reached its peak. The figures of the two were intertwined like lightning, and the sword energy and demonic energy collided, causing the valley to crack, and the flames and thunder scattered. Ling Xiao's heart was cold, his swordsmanship was extremely precise, and every shot forced the Demon King to take a step back. The Demon King's breath was urgent, and fear was quietly born in his heart. In his previous life, he had calculated the world, but he could not calculate the limit of this reborn person. In the end, Ling Xiao used a sword of unity between heaven and earth to trap the Demon King in the world of light and sword, with nowhere to escape. Underscore 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 un. 49. The dawn broke, the fog dissipated, the Demon Lord lay on the ground and begged for mercy, and the valley returned to tranquility. Ling Xiao took back his long sword, his eyes were cold, but with a hint of calm. He knew that rebirth had given him wisdom and strength, and that he had fully grasped the measure of the right and the wrong path. The traitors and mortal conspirators were brought to justice, and the people regained peace. Reborn as a sword immortal, Ling Xiao finally used his wisdom and strength to complete the unfinished mission in his previous life. Underscore 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 un. 50. Ling Xiao stood on the top of the mountain, the morning light shone on his body, and the sword energy flowed like a tide. He took a deep breath and looked at the heavens and earth in the distance, the demon race, the immortal gate, and the mortal world, all under his control. In this life, I will do it again and leave no regrets. He whispered to himself, his heart full of perseverance and peace. In the valley, the sound of the wind, the shadows of the trees, and the sound of flowing water intertwined into a movement, as if heaven and earth were blessing him. Reborn as a sword immortal, Ling Xiao finally completed his legend, slaying demons and demons, punishing evil and promoting good, protecting the righteous path, and protecting the world he loved so much. Starlight, morning light, and sword light intertwined, and a low echo sounded between heaven and earth. The sword of rebirth has already stood at the pinnacle of the heavenly way.